That's good. Well, no vehicle vlog today, as you can tell. Would have been uploaded by now. So I'm doing it in the shed tonight. So not a bad thing. I do like doing the shed thing. I don't know if I'll continue the vehicle vlog, but anyway. Where was I? Sorry, I think the neighbors are out. Anyway, I'm happy to report, after I did the video the other day, I went and picked up The Lost World. So the adventure will continue for me. It's funny because I want to kind of put it on the shelf and not just jump into it. But I'm very compelled to do so. This is a little lighter than this one. This one was significantly thicker. I don't know if you can tell there. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. So I don't know. I mean, not a big deal. I like getting these paperback, and these are the mass printed paperbacks. So if you go on Amazon, you can get them. This was like $7. This one would have been, I think this was a little more expensive. I think this might have been 12 for some reason. But I like these small, I love paperbacks, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to doing this, reading this. I got to try not to jump into it. It's going to be hard to do because I got As a Man Thinketh, which is not that hard. I should be done with it by Monday. I got a few others too that I got to get through. I got the political one I got to get through, and what's the other one there? What's that other one? Man's Search for Meaning. So I got to get through those. And those are heavy. Well, not heavy, but they're deep, emotional, and you got to take a lot of work to get through. Plus, I want to take my notes, so it's going to take a little longer than usual. But it's good to mix that fiction in, like I said the other night. So, but I'm going to try to hold off on that for at least till I get one or two more books done, and then I'll jump back into this, and then jump into the Jurassic and philosophy. I got all these other. But I think I counted today at work when I had a moment. I think I have like 12 books to get through. By the end of September, I want to try to do at least a good chunk of it. So I got a lot to read and get through, as well as doing this and sharing it with you guys on here, the ideas that I get from that. So, but one thing that popped in my head this week, and I was thinking about while I was at work pondering life while I was working, because sometimes I have those moments. And I was working, I was thinking to myself, and this spawned off of last night's video with the mentor. And I'm thinking to myself, well, there's that old saying, like when you watch older people doing content and creating stuff and giving advice, the sage advice, so to speak, and it comes to that old thing that my father used to say, experience versus youth. Or, I don't like to say it that way, because I don't see it as really a competition. I see both as having merits, and both having strengths and weaknesses, and I tend to think I side on the experience side, but youth has its advantages with you just don't know any better, and you do it, and you get it done, and miracles happen, so to speak. It's like with sports, you see, a perfect example is like the Cowboys in the 90s. They're that young team. Their third year into, Troy Aikman, Michael Irving, and Emmitt Smith, I think the third year or fourth year, they went in and won their first Super Bowl. And they were young. They weren't that experienced, and they just went out and did it. Whereas all those veteran teams didn't really able to compete with them. So it's interesting how that happens. Experience, though, I think is very valuable, and I think you can learn from both, to be honest. I think the youth... The elderly, the older people can learn certainly from the youth, and vice versa. I think the youth tends to ignore the older people, to be honest. I think a lot of the older people tend to adapt better, I guess, more than you think. I think that's just my opinion. But so I was just pondering that earlier. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think the youth is has its advantage over experience, or is experience over that? Because for me, I feel, you know, I'm 43 now. I feel like I'm right in the middle. So I got the best of both worlds, kind of like I'm still young and I still got life experience. Not a lot compared to other people that are older than me, obviously, but I'm in that middle, that right down the middle where I like to be, like right in the center. And it's just an interesting concept of what do you think's better, youth or wisdom, I guess you could say, or experience. Experience versus being just gun ho, I guess you could say. That's more. I think that's more the appropriate term than so much of because youth versus, it sounds like a generational thing, and yeah, there's that whole gap in that whole animosity towards each other. Well, I'm a Gen Xer, so it's like, we hate both generations, the old and the new. So we just do our thing, and we adapt to both, old and new. It's an interesting thing. But anyway, so I didn't have too much planned for a video today. I'm actually kind of tired. I don't know why. I woke up early, as always. Let me get some air in here. That cigar from last night is still lingering in here a little bit. It's funny, that cigar, my friend Bill said it doesn't really stink. You're not going to smell so much of it. But the problem is I'm in the shed and I closed the door last night and it kind of smoked me out here and I kind of stunk like a cigar for a little while when I went in. But it wasn't too bad. But I just thought that was funny. But so yeah, I didn't have too much planned. I'm a little tired. I guess that's what happens when you get experience, right? You're old, you got to sleep early and all that stuff. But I don't know, I think being in my 40s, I admire the youth a bit. I think a lot of them are stupid because they don't have that life. At least this generation coming up, like this younger generation, seems to be kind of stupid when it comes to, I guess, perspective on the world. I'm not saying that they're not smart. Like, they're book smart. They're very adaptable to things and everything. They catch on quick. But I think when it comes to experience, like life and how the world works, they seem pretty stupid for the most part. Then again, the experienced people, the older people, even my generation, you kind of get set in your ways. You kind of get the area. It's funny because both spectrums, the experience and the youth, they both have this I know everything kind of attitude, which is not something I typically roll with. I kind of like, as I always say, always the student, never the master, because you always learn. You should never just be the master, because then you get stagnant and you stop and you don't pursue more knowledge. So it's interesting to see that. From my perspective, I always take that outside look, or I try to, with things, and try to be objective. And I look at things, and you see the youth. They think they know everything. That's always been the youth, though. Even when I was younger, I thought I knew everything. And even when my father and his generation and whatnot, they the same thing. They thought they knew everything. They didn't. They didn't have that life experience. Then you experience life and the shit kicking that you get on a daily basis from just life, because life is hard. It humbles you and you change your tune a little bit. But then you get arrogant as you get a little bit older, and you're like, oh, I've been around the block. I know a thing or two. I got experience. I know this. I know that. When, truthfully, you really don't. I mean, you haven't experienced everything under the sun, right? You've experienced a lot of people. Yeah, all right. But I don't know. I still fall on the side of experience, though, trumps youth, I believe. In the end, it's close. Don't get me wrong, it's close. Because sometimes I think the youth kind of just comes out of nowhere and just bolds over the older experienced player or person, in whether it's work, sports, just anything. Sometimes they just come out of nowhere and just take over, and you're like, "What? Your pants are down," and you don't know what the hell happened. So I got a new subscriber. So I'm up to 7 now, which is a miracle because it's a little stagnant this week, and I was a little wondering. I'm spinning my wheels. Speaking of experience, like, see, here's a case where I could learn something from the younger generation when it comes to YouTube, and I'm going to study that a little bit more as time goes on. I'm just trying to get my feet wet and trying to get used to talking to the camera, what a content I want to do, because as you see, my content's kind of all over the place. I mean, it's more of a reflection of me and how all my interests, because I'm here, there, and everywhere. I kind of like stick my hands at everything, so to speak. But I want to get a little more concise with the talking head videos like this, where, and I've said it before with like a certain topic, but I don't want to get into like there's some great philosophy channels out there that I love watching, and they spark ideas too, and I'll eventually talk about them here. And they're younger people than me, and I love that they're into philosophy and they talk about it. So I learn from them. So there you go. The experienced guys learning from the younger people, and that's great. But here's the thing. I want to give it the, and again, it goes back to Tim Ferriss, what he was talking about yesterday in the foreword in that book that I'm reading, the Tao of I almost said Star Wars. I've read that one. That's a good one. It's one of my favorite books back in the day. This is of Seneca, and he was talking about, you know, Stoicism being a philosophy that you can apply to everyday life. What I want to do is not give it that academic kind of professional video that they do. I kind of just want to talk about it as a guy that does a regular 9 to 5, drives to work, and contemplates about life and his purpose in life and in the meaning of life and all that other, the big questions that we all really ask ourselves but are afraid to even come out in public and say that. I want to give it my perspective and just kind of talk normal and not like a professor with the patch on the jacket there. That's my goal. How am I going to do that? I don't know, but I'm going to try to figure that out. But it isn't going to be just philosophy, because there's more to life than just sitting around pondering the meaning of it. You got to live it. That's the main thing. And like I said, eventually I'll get to my Super 73 review and various other things. So I'll get there. I got to get more concise. But YouTube's been fun. It's been interesting. I got to do my camera review about this, and even the Rode mic. I'll give an update on that. So yeah, I got to figure that out. There's other content I want to bring in. I just don't know how to go about it. Then I got to get into editing at some point because I want to do certain things. So I'll be doing that at some point. So lots to learn this old guy has with this stuff. Now, it'd be different if it was podcasting. I kind of know quite a bit about that. That's kind of not a big thing. But I don't know all, because that changes constantly, to be honest. The podcasting world's changed so much in the 9 years, and it's still changing. And I haven't kept up with all of it. I just kind of stick to what I know and do, and that's not good because you get stagnant. So I got to take some time and learn all that again, a little bit, the newer stuff. It's crazy what happens in 9-10 years of podcasting, how it goes from here to there. And even with the video stuff, I've watched quite a bit. I've always had this interest, wanting to do this channel. My friend Bob, who kind of basically gave me the nudge to do this, and I was always hesitant because of the podcasting and doing all that stuff with the network. And then this camera came out, and it was kind of the perfect camera for me and what I wanted to do. I bought other cameras, and I was going to use them, and tried, and it just didn't work the way I wanted to do things. So, but Bob, thank you for giving me that nudge and the feedback the other day. That was really nice to hear from you. I'm glad you enjoyed the Jurassic Park review I did the other day. He was excited about that. So yeah, there'll be different things. So, and Bob, I can learn from Bob. Bob's an old guy. He's 50. So I can learn from him. So again, even the experienced guys you can learn from, I guess, for me. But I've always been interested in how people go about things. Like, there's certain channels that talk about this stuff, the behind the scenes stuff, and I paid attention a little bit. So I kind of know what I'm doing, but not quite how to apply it. I've applied some of those things, but I don't see the payoff yet. And it's more me. It's definitely not their advice or what I'm doing. It's something I'm doing, and I got to figure that out at some point. But anyway, I don't mean to bore you. I've gone on long enough with this video, but anyway, what are your thoughts on experience versus youth, I guess you could say? Or, I don't know if I want to call it youth. I mean, it sounds like, there was always a bad term in my eyes, like youth. Because it's something, I don't want to say it's naivety, or I guess I should just call it inexperienced versus experienced at the end of the day. Not so much youth versus experience, right? So inexperienced versus experience, I guess you could say. Yeah. I guess I'll go with that. But anyway, that's enough. I'm going to finish my beer. Cheers. Hope you guys have a good Friday. Stay safe. I will see you guys tomorrow. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do tomorrow. We'll see. But anyway, have a good night, everybody, and I'll see you later.